Welcome to another virtual conference presented by our hometown with President and CEO Matt Larson. Today we hear from Julia Campbell, General Manager at the Meta Branded Content Project, along with the rest of her team, on how they are working with OHT customers to bring curated brand-specific advertising to their websites.
I'm Julia Campbell. I'm the General Manager at the Branded Content Project and helping media companies grow revenue through branded content. So that's what we're doing. We work closely with Distributed Media Labs. We've got folks from that side here. So Jared, I'll pass it to you.
Hi, Director of Business Operations, Distributed Media Lab. So ad operations, but also overarching operations. Been with the company now, I think I'm pushing 3 years, which is crazy. But we do a lot with the Branded Content Project. We're kind of the powerhouse behind the Branded Content Projects in terms of technology and widgets and collections and all that stuff. And Nolan is on my team, just started on Monday on the operations team. So we were very excited to have him working at Distributed Media Lab.
Cool. Thanks for the intro, Jarrett. Yeah, so I'm the digital campaign coordinator with TML. So it's my first week here, so nice to meet everybody.
Great.
Likewise.
I'm happy. How about Jeff? You want to go next?
Sure. I'm Jeff Rogers, the director of the Illinois Press Foundation, and I also work with Capital News Illinois, our news service that we've got a collection for as well.
Perfect. Cindy, I think that's you next.
Hi, I'm Cindy Bedoli. I'm Member Services. Matt and I were on a call with somebody, and we're one of our members, and we were trying to get them a website up, and it came up with the cannabis collection. And we were wondering how to place an ad and how they had to do that. So we had a couple of questions, and Matt wanted to know what it was all about. And I just wanted to make sure Matt didn't have to do extra work on his side, helping our members, get the website going if they wanted to do the cannabis collection.
Cool. So we can walk through that a little bit. All right, Matt, why don't you do intros and then Tyler, and then we'll show off some stuff.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So I'm the president of our hometown, and I've been working with Cindy, Jeff, and Ron on this digital initiative project. And we're getting all these websites set up for publishers that don't have anything now. And basically, the cannabis widget is an optional add-on for the program. So, we just want to understand it so we can sell a little bit more and, just help them see the revenue opportunity there.
Awesome. All right. Well, I think that's great. And I'm glad that we definitely are all here and we can kind of help out a little bit. So it sounds like you have a basic knowledge on cannabis and how this works, but you probably just need help understanding it. So it sounds like it's more of a conversation around how to embed it or how to help them make sure it's on their site, right?
Well, we can do the embedding, but really just, I guess it's mainly the revenue opportunity. We understand how to place the code and the variations there. I guess one thing I did have on what appears in the widget, is there any control over what content goes in there? Like any kind of category level thing, or is it just whatever?
So it's kind of a new story feeds in every Monday. Jared, maybe kind of talk through how that works as far as the technology goes, since it sounds like we already understand the embedding process.
So for all the Branded Content Project stuff, we actually use content pillars. So with how we create the content. So every single collection has pillars. And so we're building content based off of recency, what time of year it is. So, summer, winter, fall, whatever, holidays that are coming up. And then those content pillars, I have to look up which ones that we have specifically for cannabis. So all of those pieces of content, it's one a week and they come in every Monday. So whether it's a 4-week month or a 5-week month, on that Monday, there will be a new piece of content based off of what we've written. There is not, at least with the Branded Content Project, those collections, since those are kind of widely distributed, you can't edit those or kind of remove certain pieces of content and other ones not, because those are just that one collection is like widely distributed. But we do have the capability of creating custom collections. Obviously, there's more fees to that, but we do, for a lot of publishers, we do custom collections as well.
Gotcha.
I'm going to pull up the storefront, Jarrett, and go to cannabis. And just make sure that everybody knows what is available. And Matt, you guys have access to this site, right? The storefront, so you can get all the code you would need from whatever category.
I don't think we do yet, but maybe Ron does, because he's just been sending me the code, and I don't know if we need any more code right now.
So can our members? Are they just able to do the Cannabis Weekly, or can they go in here and do the other activity?
Sure, they can do all of them if they'd like.
Okay.
They can do any of them. And they're all set up the same way, right? So you got the widget and you've got the same sales opportunity really. And it's just different categories. So you just take active aging out to ARP instead of the cannabis retailer.
Right.
So if one of our members, they wanted to do the Cannabis Weekly and we put the code on there, do they need the storefront link in order to go in there and like place the ads?
So yes, and that's why we probably, we would want each publication to have their own login, right, Jared? So that way they're getting a specific code. Because if you want to advertise it, they're going to want a different code than the next publication because they would have a different advertiser. So it needs to be, separated out. So they're going to need access here.
Well, the code for the actual cannabis widget per se is the same for everybody. It's just if they start doing advertising, correct?
I think so, but Jared, they want to have a specific code that's tied to their login, right? That way they could do demos or they could do, obviously it'll display content, so it works fine if it's the same code for everybody, but theoretically, once you start separating it out, they're going to want a specific code for their publication, right?
Yeah, we have what's called like collection ID. So there's a collection, which is the same, but your code specific for your property or publisher. So then on the back end, there's a couple of cool things we can do. One is we're reporting specifically for property. So we can know Cannabis Weekly had this many impressions and this much viewership on this property versus this. And then the other one too is if we ever want to change that collection to be like, let's say you had a sponsor that was doing Cannabis Weekly for 6 months. And then at the end of that, you actually got active aging and a sponsor, we can actually switch it without you having to change the code. So, cause it's property based.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
Okay. I got you. And I think the reason I thought it was different because with Capital News Illinois, we want to control the advertising with that. So we give the same code to everybody on that, but with cannabis, it's going to be newspaper based. So you're going to need a different code for each one. Okay.
Yeah.
So do we set that up through ours for them? Or actually they're going to have their own portal per se. Where they're going to go on here.
So they'll have their own login, but I think for ease of use, we can give you that. They can have their own login to see all the collections that they could possibly ever want to put on, but we can also just pull the code and have Julia potentially send it if that makes it easier.
I got you. Okay. All right.
And for now, if they've just got the code on there and it's the same, it's okay. It's just at the point where they start wanting a demo or they start wanting a campaign or wanting metrics, you're going to want to switch the code out. But if they've already got it up on a few sites, it's probably at least the content showing, they can show it off a little bit, which helps. I think it's just at some point we should transition them over. The ones that are maybe serious about it or serious about selling it, we should probably get them their own code.
Gotcha. Okay.
I'm going to show you what is in each of the collections, and Jarrett can talk through this too a little bit about what's available. But just make sure you guys know what all the resources that are in here, since it sounds like we haven't all gone into the storefront. There's 10 different categories, technically 11. The entertainer may come back for the holiday season. But the goal here is you're looking for is a exclusive sponsor for each category is really what we're seeing as best practice and working well as we find somebody that's going to sponsor active aging, somebody that sponsors Cannabis Weekly, somebody that sponsors car care. And you guys can definitely divvy that up in a few different ways, but that's probably the easiest way to conceptualize it for the publications is, go out and look for a bank to sponsor the finance category or one cannabis retailer to sponsor Cannabis Weekly.
Right.
All right. And so I'm going to bounce in here a little bit. I got to show you something cool that I just found this morning that Jared's probably like, that's been there for like 3 weeks, but I found it this morning. And so when you go in to embed the collection, if you guys are doing this on behalf, you can see the different layouts here too. So that's been fancy too. If you are helping them embed code, there's lots of options for layouts. And this is a very fun way of being able to see visually how that might work. Jared, I'm sure it's been up for like 6 months or whatever, and I found it today, and it was pretty exciting.
It's been up for a little bit. I know the collection has, but we have started to. Initially, it was kind of like the 4x1 was the normal, and then if you wanted other layouts, it was talked to us. But now we do that. I think it's only been live where you can see the different layouts, maybe a couple months. So you're not super late to the game.
I know. I was showing off today, and I was like, "This is amazing! You can see all the layouts right here." So it's that's just there as an option, since it sounds like you guys are doing some of the work on behalf of some of the publishers and helping embed that they do have choices on how this appears on their site.
Great.
All right. Jared, do you want to walk through a little bit about what's inside each of these, and I'll scroll along?
Yeah, so there's also a lot of sales capabilities and just talking about who you would go after. So a lot of the times we do, and I know Julia jumps on these as well. And from terms of local sales, is like who would you talk to? Obviously, cannabis is very simple. It's wholesale manufacturers and dispensaries, and potentially anybody else who might be interested in sponsoring cannabis. But if you're thinking about active aging, that might be a little bit different. We do like senior living facilities, stuff like that for active aging. So it kind of talks through who you might go after. And then at the very, very bottom, it has all of your sales materials. So there's things you can customize. So we have a content calendar. A lot of people, when you pitch to clients, I'm not necessarily sure why, because the goal is to do sponsorships, but a lot of them will say, okay, I see the content now, but what's coming in September? What's coming in October? And so we do give the themes for, I believe 2 months out. So you can kind of see what's coming. There's an email prospecting script specifically. So you can adjust that as you will, but there's a starting place for if you're reaching out to sponsors, you can use that email script for conquesting and prospecting. And then we have a sales deck. You can change as you need to as well. And then a custom content brief. So custom content would be as if they want to put their own piece of content in the fourth card, or if they want a completely new collection, which of course that's going to be additional fees for them to you and for you to us. But if they want to talk about and have like their own custom content, then that's a brief that we go through with them to kind of learn, okay, what do we want to talk about? What are kind of their goals? What is their focus in terms of, what they're looking at as a business? So that brief is there as well.
Yeah. Have you guys seen what these look like with a sponsor attached to it?
I was just wondering about that.
Yeah.
All right. So Jared, I've got Dallas Weekly up. They've got a few of them on here. So these are different categories than cannabis, but same concept. So here's the finance one here. So you see this is the content that's flowing into their collection. It's presented by JP Morgan Chase. And then as you open it up, the sponsorship opportunity is full takeover. So you see that there's ads within the article,
Right.
A couple spots here in the middle, and then the one at the bottom as well. And then the right rail, you've also got a 300 by 250. And then Jared, you want to explain how the fourth card works? Because that's a pretty unique thing.
Yeah, so we call it the fourth card. I need to get used to calling it the last card.
I know, the last card.
We have a lot. It was always the fourth card. So the last card in the collection, so in this, it's the fourth card. That is taken over, or can be, by either another AMP article, some branded piece of content that opens up in the viewer and shows a specific custom piece of content. So that does not, like I guess you were asking before, can we, remove content or change it in the collections? For Cannabis Weekly, Finance FYI, you can't. But in that fourth card, what we do is we overlay a custom piece of content. So that could be either a custom piece of content that opens in the viewer. So that could be the thing that talks about the advertiser. A lot of dispensaries always want to have a monthly custom piece about their deals for the month. So, there's that can be built within that content. The other thing it could be is a native click out. So if you hosted it on your site, a custom piece of content for the advertiser, and then, for whatever reason you weren't able to amp it, or you didn't want to put in the collection, that would click to that piece of content. It could also click to the advertiser site. We don't typically recommend that, only because, there's other native display options that they can do. And then of course, from a click-through rate, typically you start talking about, well, how many clicks am I going to get to my site and all this stuff. And it's like, the goal here is more authority, brand awareness, impressions. It's not, this is not low funnel. The goal here is to get that audience that you can then target with other capabilities, lower funnel. But that native kind of display click out option is also an option as well. But typically what we see is most clients love having their own branded content there. So people reading about their deals, people reading about, some people do like what they're doing really great in the community, stuff like that. And we can put that in the last card.
And this example looks like they're amping it, so it stays inside the collection. So this is the branded content project article. And then this is the one from Chase. It's being hosted on the Dallas Weekly site.
Yep.
I saw you added a link to the chat in the chat here.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm sorry. I don't want to divert before I ask this quick question. So you said that, is that part of the custom collections, Jarrett? The native ad?
No, that fourth card is built in. So from a pricing perspective, we have a floor charge for advertising campaigns of $250, but that's baked in. Like, that's not an additional fee to use branded content to put in your own custom card. No, that's not. That's all built into an ad campaign. So when you submit an ad campaign, there's no other additional fee. You just basically tell us, am I using branded content, custom content in that last card, or am I not? And then what type of custom content you're going to put in that last card.
Right. Okay. Yeah, just for that link I sent, it was just like a real detailed question. It might not even be relevant, but when I scroll down to the bottom of that link, if you could bring it up, this is a demo. Yes. It's not live, so maybe that's the reason. But if you scroll all the way down, we have the Canvas widget, and if you click on it, what I'm seeing is just a blank ad, and that's because they haven't sold the ad spot, right?
Yep.
Is that always going to be there, or?
That's a great question. I can go back. We've been trying. So like even the middle of article page and bottom of article page goes away. AMP content doesn't allow you to do as many like disappearing, ad slots as what you can do in normal pages. I'll go back and ask about that, but I think it might stay there until you sell it. But the other ones aren't there as it is. So I'll go back to our dev team and ask about that.
Well, can they put an ad there saying sell your ad here? Call.
Totally. We actually have a lot of publishers that do, even like if you had, you wanted them to subscribe to a newsletter, or if you had some initiative, you could put your publisher oriented ads there to push to something you guys wanted to do.
Gotcha.
We see that a lot.
Yeah. But this looks good. So yeah, you definitely don't have a problem with the code. It looks like it's working perfectly.
Yep. That is all set. I guess then, can you maybe show us a little bit about the interface for uploading the ads?
Totally. It's my favorite part.
All right. I'm going to drop mine, Jared. I'll let you kind of do the show and tell at this point.
I will walk through it. Let me make sure I've got the right one. Okay. Yeah. Here we go.
This is very helpful. Is it okay if, by the way, we are recording this, is it okay if we save this and edit it into, okay, because it'll be a real helpful tutorial. Thank you.
Totally.
All
right, let's go to the marketplace. So imagine you sold something, or even you're not, so you actually can do demo campaigns as well. So you can actually see, let's say like you've had 2 calls or 3 calls and they're, you're kind of on the precipice of the sale and you want to showcase what it would actually look like to the client. We can set up a demo campaign within the marketplace as well, which is cool. So that they can kind of see exactly what they're going to get. So you would come in here either for a demo campaign or for a live campaign. And so this is our little menu here. So you're going to end up clicking to add campaigns. Before you do that, you have to make sure that you've selected the collection that you're going to use as a My Product. So I believe I've selected them. Yeah. So product added. So you just have to basically say like, this is the collection I'm going to use. You have that added product and then you can use it. You can also see it here in My Products as well in that selection to see if it's there. You'll go into ad campaigns. So there are 2 sections here. This is the campaign manager, kind of trying to work on building this out similar to Facebook's ad manager or Google ads, something like that. There's a direct campaigns and then a demo campaigns. So it depends on if you're doing a demo or an actual sold campaign is direct. So if you've sold it, you'll do new campaign here. If it's a demo, new campaign, the walkthrough is exactly the same. So I don't have to go through both. So you'll say new campaign. This is why you had to select what your product was, because if you have no products, then they won't show up in the campaign manager. But you've selected Cannabis Weekly, so you click the product you want, click next, and it really just walks you through. So you'll have a campaign details, any advertiser content. So this is the custom content we talked about, and then uploading the sponsorship assets, which is the banner ads, and then the insertion order. So for us, it's like I said, it's that Florida 250. So here, this is the campaign details. So cannabis dispensary. You'll put in the advertiser name, which I'm going to say is cannabis dispensary. The start date, you can't select today, and that's because our ad ops team, it takes us, we have 3 business day turnaround to get things live. So the sooner you can get into it, the better. Now, if we have to go live, it's the end of the month, just send me an email. And we typically, our turnaround is quicker than 3 business days, but it's just nice to have that buffer in case, there's something crazy. People are, your team's out of town and we need more information. There's always questions on things. So I'll put it as next Monday, end date in here. Let's go click this out. So typically our recommendation is a 6 month to a year campaign. We can do 3 months. We recommend nothing shorter than 3 months because it really more is the benefit for the advertiser. If the advertiser is running something for, a week, a month, most of the people coming to your site are not seeing that, and they haven't had time for that exposure to really create that brand authority and that brand awareness. And so that's typically why we recommend 3 months. It's more of having everybody on the same page and being happy with the campaign rather than setting ourselves up for not success. It shows what type of campaign. So you can do share of voice or impression based. I'm sure a lot of this will be share of voice. Impression based, we really only recommend if you had 10 million impressions and we wanted to split them up in a certain way, and you could potentially get a higher CPM if you did that. But for smaller publishers, and most of our publishers are smaller publishers, it's typically share of voice. From a selling perspective, you could do something where if they take 100% share of voice, they have a lower CPM. If they take less share of voice, they get a higher CPM. So there's always kind of benefit from that exclusivity in terms of running that. And then any additional targeting, I don't ever get anything in here because typically it's 100% share of voice for this collection on the site. But if there was, for some reason, you didn't want to target a geo or something like that, then you can input that here. I'll pause for a second and then we'll get into advertiser content. But any questions on the campaign details right now?
No.
So you'll save and continue. Another great thing, if you just click save and leave, it's saved. So you don't have to have everything. So I know that was we kind of deal with some publishers that come in here and are like, oh my gosh, I didn't have everything. And then I did in a day. You can come up here and set it up, and I'll actually because I'm not going to submit it yet. You'll see that it's in draft mode. And so you can come back here and edit it. This is the custom content opportunity. So what type of branded content should be included? So there's a couple options. None, of course. If they don't want to do that, that's totally fine. Amped content, which would mean that we would be the ones amping the content, or you would be amping the content and you would put in the AMP URL from your site. Native content is that click out. So this would not be, it could be content, but it's just a click through URL to go somewhere else. And then DML custom content, this would be if we're amping the content, or if this was like, we have a content studio that can write the content, that can, run interviews and stuff like that. So if you want us to kind of manage that content perspective end to end, we can do that. So I'll show you what the amped content and the native content are essentially the same thing. It's just different URLs. So this is for the image. So in that collection, that image of what that article is going to be like. So the header image, that goes here. Amped content URL. So this is the actual URL to the AMP content you have on your site, or the client has, or whoever, and then the copy. So this is the headline that's going to go into the collection. Native content's essentially the same thing, just a native click through. And then DML custom content, this would be, you would just email support at Distributed Media Lab to kind of talk through that custom content request. We're actually working to kind of let you guys upload stuff and do more self-serve, but for now it's a kind of an email process.
Okay, so just a real quick question. So then the AMP option, so just for the workflow that we would recommend, I guess, would probably, the simplest thing would be they would write the article for the advertiser. They could publish it as a post on the WordPress site and then show it to them and get it approved, and then just take that link and put it in here. And then
That's exactly right. Yep.
That sounds like that would be a good idea.
Okay.
And you can, of course, we always recommend upcharging that, like the content development and all of that stuff. The reason I'm going to Dallas Examiner is that they actually do that. So if I click this open, this is the AMP, this is the article from them. So this is, they created this content, they work with the the client to do this. And then this is just an AMP version of their actual content in the collection.
Yeah. Okay. Sounds
They
good.
obviously have a very in-depth AMP template. So other people don't as much. There's a lot of things to do here, but that's just an example of what they're doing.
Oh yeah, so they would have to create a template, or we could just pick from pre-existing templates?
Yeah, most publishers, especially WordPress, there's a plugin for AMP, and there's existing stuff, and it actually pulls in your logo and all that stuff. So yeah, it's typically like a 3-minute process to get AMP set up.
Okay. Gotcha.
It's just they wanted theirs to look exactly like their site, so they built it exactly like
yeah. Okay, I got it. That's cool.
And then lastly, upload assets. So this is the sponsorships. This is going to be the content upload for sponsor branding, click through URL. This is the right rail banner that you saw. So 300 by 250. And then if it's not a custom collection, if it's actually a branded content project, all of those articles have in-article ads. So there is truly a full takeover. So this would be your top of article page, middle of article page, and bottom of article page. And we do run mobile as well. So 320 by 50. So just a different version of the same. We do offer multiple versions if you want to, meaning if you want to have an A banner ad and a B banner ad, so different versions of that, we can do 2 versions if they wanted A/B test. But typically by this point, most people just want kind of the main goal for what they're kind of trying to communicate.
No, that's good to know. Yeah, maybe they could just get the first ad, and then for the second campaign, they run an A/B test, to bring them something new. That's cool.
Exactly. And we can A/B test content as well. Very similar. I don't know if you guys have used like Nativo or anything like that. We can A/B test content as well, just to see what gets the most clicks and engagement as well.
Okay.
For that branded content, for the custom content. And then
basically the headline of the.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
And then the insertion order, it's very basic. It's like 2 paragraphs. I can't click on it because I'd have to, it wouldn't let me save and continue unless I upload everything.
Sure.
But it just details out the pricing and then the just kind of agreement for there. But for example, if I'm done here and I save, so then I'll go back to the campaign manager, you'll see your campaign here. In the future, we're actually working on putting reporting in here. We send you reporting monthly. We're actually working to actually get reporting in here so you can actually see it in real time, but we send monthly reporting. But like I said, you'll see statuses, if it's been accepted, if it's live, if it's in draft, whatever the, and then of course you can go over to completed. If obviously it's run its course, then you can go to completed as well.
Nice. Is there a place that they can get, you said you're going to add a place that they can get metrics, but they send them now by email?
We send them to you by email the second Monday of every month. That's just to get time to build the report. And we also give some insights for you. You can take that reporting and edit it how you need to, or put it in a different deck or something like that. But that's how it currently is for reporting. For, like I said, for the future, it's that reporting is kind of like a dashboard. And so we're working to put it in here so you could click on analytics and see the information.
Okay. Yeah, I'm just thinking like the simplest way possible to share metrics would be to just like forward that email, but that would have everything like to the advertiser, but that would have all the advertising information, right? In one email.
It's pretty simple. I actually have a hard stop here, so I got to jump, but it's actually fairly simple with that reporting. There's not a ton of information in there. So you actually we do have some people that forward it. I would say sometimes, depending on the publisher, like they might have only gotten 15 clicks, and so it might open a can of worms for conversation.
Sure.
But a lot of our publishers, like we have Anchorage Daily News, they have millions of impressions. They just forward it. They're like, here's your sponsorship. It's doing really well. Here you go.
Okay, cool. All right. Yeah. I think the simple follow-up and reporting is better. Okay, cool.
We try to make it as the more complex it is, the more questions everything are. So
right.
I know Julia's going to hang on, but I got to jump. I appreciate it. This is great. Thank you.
All right. So what other questions do we have, or anything else I can show you to help make this simpler?
Does everybody understand the pricing structure, just to make sure?
Yeah. So since you guys are running campaigns through collections, they're $250 a month per series per market. Now I'll tell you, we have brand new pricing that is actually starting next month, which gives you a price break as you guys sell more. So if a market, one specific website sells, let's say they sell cannabis and active aging, they're actually going to get both of those campaigns for $250. So as you sell, increase the amount of campaigns, the price and the expense structure goes down, which is better margins for the publisher.
Okay.
Which is good. But yeah, so just plan on $250 a month in the expense side. And so you guys mark that up to, just bake that into the package. I would say pricing wise, most folks, and I know we've gone through this a few times in the past, are anywhere between, maybe $1,000 and $1,500 a month to, we've got, I would say the sweet spot seems to be somewhere between $2,500, $3,500 a month. And then you've got some bigger markets that are selling for $5,000 or $6,000. Because you're putting other things into the package too, right? And maybe, you know, some social media posts, maybe some display advertising. Some people are doing some extended reach. A couple folks are putting things in print, adding all sorts of things into those packages. We've got somebody who's been adding events into their packages too. So you never know.
Now, if a paper wanted to have a story per se from that content and wanted to print it with a print ad, can they do that?
Yeah, they should be able to do that. We can talk through that if that's something they want to do. But we've
I'm
got
just curious.
Yeah, there's another model that doesn't use the collections where we just give you the Word document and you guys can put it wherever you'd like. That model is $500 a month. And we've got people who are honestly, they're just taking the 4 stories each month and doing the download version and building a special section around some certain topic. So we've got people who are doing it a different way. Some radio guys are taking those scripts and turning them into radio segments. So there's other options to use the content in other ways too. If you know, outside of the collection, the collection's the easy one because you guys don't have to do the heavy lifting. Some of those other ideas take a little more lift,
Right.
Gotcha.
but you can charge a lot more money for that type of thing too.
Right.
All right,
Okay.
Matt.
Sorry, I just have a real basic question because
Yeah.
I'm still catching up. So it's $250 per month, basically per website, because you said it's per market. So
Basically, yeah, per series. So cannabis is $250 per month for one specific website, and then if you have somebody who maybe owns multiple websites and they're going to sell it as one sponsorship, then we can talk through that too. Because I
okay.
know some of the publishers you guys have might be small, and they may like, we're going to sell this in, you know, to 4 of our weeklies as one sponsorship to the bank. So we might treat that as one, basically one market.
Gotcha.
Right, but they can display it all they want to have it there until they sell into it. Then it's the 250.
Just for
Yeah,
content.
there's no charge at all. So if you guys start loading up the code for different categories and using the content, there's no charge there for that.
Okay.
Right.
Which is really what you want to do. At least have one of them up because you need to be able to show the advertiser what it looks like and where it's going to go. And
Right.
those demo campaigns that Jared just showed you too. And there's no charge. So really, like, think of it, there's no expense until after you already have the sold campaign in.
Right.
Right.
So they could create a demo campaign with a small ad, place your ad here,
Yep.
type of thing, put that code on there, shows up, they get a call from an advertiser or whatever, you know, I want my ad there.
Yeah, you really do want to show it to them
Right.
live because that's what helps
Yeah.
them understand what. Otherwise, it's kind of just pictures, and you know, we have a lot of folks just take screenshots out, and that's
Yeah.
tough to sell that. If they
Right.
can
Yeah.
show them and show the stories and how, you know, how it all interacts, that's what's going to help sell them.
Thanks for joining us for today's virtual conference. For more information on the Meta Branded Content Project, visit brandedcontentproject.com. Please follow, like, or subscribe to our social media channels to keep up with all the latest from our hometown.